Okay, I'm Julia Graham. I'm CEO of Airmic, and I'm delighted to welcome those of you watching to our conference here in Manchester. I'm joined today by the moderator of our panels, which is Clive Myrie, and he's been moderating a panel this morning on risk and has the pleasure of moderating another panel this afternoon with leaders from our insurance industry. But I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, Clive. First of all, to welcome you, and thank you for
so
being
much.
with
It's
us.
great to be here. Great to
A little
be
bit
here.
of rain this week.
A little bit of rain, but I am a Lancastrian. I was born in Bolton, not far up the road. So yeah, I'm used to the rain.
But the benefit is we haven't had people fainting from heat stroke, given how warm it's been. So
But there
could
may be
worse.
people drowning out.
Could well
It's
be.
just that wet.
But you can see that the title of our conference is Riding the Waves of Opportunity and Risk, so maybe that was a bit prophetic.
Indeed.
Choosing that title.
Indeed.
But I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about you,
Okay.
because you've been talking a lot today about risk and this afternoon about insurance, but
Yeah.
I understand from looking at your bio that you did a law degree
I did.
at university. So
Yes.
how on earth did you get into the world of journalism and
I
TV
know.
reporting?
I tell you, my parents are not happy.
Are they not?
They've got over it now. They've got over it now. But of course, you know, every first-generation immigrant wants their children to grow up to be a lawyer or a dentist or a doctor, a proper professional. And so me becoming a member of the Fourth Estate, a reporter, is something that initially they were not that too pleased about, even though it was a BBC training course that I got on. But I always wanted to tell stories. I grew up with gentlemen like Alan Wicker. I loved his travelogues around the world, and I wanted to travel. And then I saw this chap on TV called Sir Trevor McDonald, who looked like me. So he suggested that someone, you know, of colour could do that job. And I thought, right, combine the two: reporting, travelling the world, foreign correspondent. And that's what I became.
Sounds like a good life to me.
It's tricky at times, it has to be said, particularly when people are shooting at you. But beyond that, it is a lot of fun, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
So you must have covered some really interesting news stories over the years. If I sort of pinned you down and said, which one would you sort of take to your desert island with you as a
my
memory?
word.
What might that
Word.
be?
So this is interview, is it, or
Yeah.
story?
Well,
General
either.
story.
Either.
Okay, I think I've covered a lot of things, and I've been incredibly lucky to have this ringside seat to some of the most important and memorable stories of the last 30, 40 years. But I think the one that really sticks out is being at Morehouse College, which is a traditional black college in America. It's in Atlanta. It's where Dr. Martin Luther King went. It's where Samuel L. Jackson went. And it's very prestigious. And is where I was reporting from on the night that Barack Obama won the presidency of the United States. And everyone was in tears when it was announced that he managed to get over the line. And I was reporting live, and I brought some of my own feelings into the reportage. I said to David Dimbleby, who was anchoring back in London, I said, for me to be here at this moment in time is a privilege as a black man. And I put down the microphone and I thought, oh no, I've put myself into the story. I've injected myself into this story. That's not what you're supposed to do. But I looked over my shoulder and I saw the correspondent for ABC News. He was broadcasting to 25, 30 million people live. Steve Osinsami, great guy. He was broadcasting live and he was in tears. Live.
Wow.
So me saying this was a privilege for me to be here was like nothing. I had crossed no line, and it was one of the most memorable things that I've done.
Well, I'm going to ask you one other question, if I may,
Yeah.
if you could share with me. Today we've been talking about risk and opportunity, and this morning on our panel, there was a whole raft of subjects that people said should be on the agenda of folk like our members who manage risk or buy insurance. If I were to ask you what you feel is the one thing at the moment we should have our eyes focused on, do you have an opinion on that?
I think, particularly given what I've been doing over the last year in Ukraine, it feels to me as if that conflict is underpinning a lot of the crises and problems and issues that we have at the moment, whether it's the rise in inflation, energy prices, a refugee problem, food scarcity and insecurity in large parts of the developing world, particularly Africa. So I would point to Ukraine as being the fulcrum of a lot of the problems that we're having at the moment emanating from that conflict. That is the one thing I would keep my eyes on 100%.
And if we were listening to the panel today, that might be with us for another couple of years to come.
It's interesting listening to the former Deputy Supreme Allied Commander of NATO forces. He doesn't think it'll be over this year. I think there is an imperative on Joe Biden to try to get it done by the end of 2024, by the election. I think everything the Ukrainians have asked for, and they've been initially rebuffed, they've eventually got. And that's long-range missiles, that's tanks, and I suspect it'll be aircraft as well. And commanding the skies to a degree could give Ukraine the edge. I think the Western allies will be looking at how well the counteroffensive develops. It's looking as if it's going in the right direction, and it's going to be hard. No question about it. The Russians have dug in over a front line that is about 600 miles long, close to 1,000 kilometers long. It's going to be hard. But if they're seen to be delivering results, particularly with the long-range missiles that they've been given, particularly with the Leopard tanks and so on and the hardware they've been given, and we know F-16 fighter pilots are being trained now for the Ukrainian Air Force, I can see them getting the jets, and that could be a whole different ballgame.
Well, in terms of timescales and the end of next year, let's all hope that you're right.
Well, for everybody, on both sides, because no one wants war.
Well, look, Clive, thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts with me today. I hope you've enjoyed your time in Manchester, including the rain.
Including the rain.
But we've been thrilled to have you here. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you so much indeed.